We live in the most distractive time in history. Notifications, endless tabs, text messages, emails, and social media. They all fight for our attention, and here's the hard truth. The quality of your life is determined by what you give your attention to. Welcome back to the Optimizing Beyond podcast. I'm Josh Negron, and this show's all about sharing lessons, ideas, and strategies that help sharpen your thinking, strengthen your habits, and push you to grow beyond comfort zones. And today, I want to talk about something that every single one of us is struggling with, maybe more than we realize. So today, we're going to unpack why focus matters, what distraction is actually costing you, and I'll give you 2 simple practices to start reclaiming your attention this week. Because if you don't control your focus, somebody else will. Let's start here. Why does focus matter? Think about bandwidth. You've only got so much of it. Every distraction you let in, every task switch, every notification buzz eats away at that bandwidth. Psychologist Dr. Jordan Peterson puts it like this: attention is a resource. What you pay attention to is what you see, and what you see determines how you act. In other words, what you focus on literally shapes your reality. Think of when you've had dinner with someone and they're constantly on their phone. How does that make you feel? Or maybe you've been that person on the phone during the meal, an important conversation, only to finally catch a glimpse of that other person's face, deciding to disengage from you, or cut the story short because they're getting the sense that you're too busy for them. It's an awful feeling. Because of this, some of you may have practiced the no phones at dinner rule, which I highly recommend trying. This is because our attention is limited. When not spent wisely, it can affect more than just our productivity, but even our relationships if we're not careful. Carl Newport, in his book, Deep Work, makes a distinction between deep work and shallow work. Deep work is cognitively demanding, valuable, and rare. It's the stuff that makes your life move forward. Shallow work is distracted and logistical. Necessary maybe, but rarely transformative. It's rare because it usually doesn't happen by accident. It takes intentionality, focus, and planning to execute. Otherwise, shallow work will always win out. A practical technique to do this is to first block out intentional time in your schedule of at least 1 to 2 hours of meaningful deep work. This is the first step in starting the habit of engaging in deep work regularly. Think of your schedule like an area that contains water. If you don't set boundaries where you want the water to go, it just expands and fills whatever space it can. And Newport says this: clarity about what matters provides clarity about what does not. That's the battle. If you don't block out time for deep work, your life fills automatically with shallow work. It's like a river current. If you don't swim or paddle against it, you will go with it. A very powerful mind exercise for a lot of entrepreneurs is: what is the one thing that if you could do, that if you completed it, could make many other things unnecessary? Perfect. Now do that first. Now let's look at the science behind distraction, because it isn't just about willpower. In today's digital age, we have an endless supply of reminders, notifications, and distractions to pull you in so many directions. Dr. Andrew Huberman, a neuroscientist at Stanford, explains that our brains are wired to chase novelty. Every notification, every scroll through social media, especially every short-form video, gives us a little dopamine spike. And it's the same intermittent reward system that casinos use with slot machines. Sounds like the odds are against us here with big tech. He says every time you switch tasks, your brain resets its dopamine expectations, which means, unfortunately, you need more novelty to feel satisfied, which is why one quick text check turns into a 20-minute detour down one or more apps. Have you ever opened your phone and saw a notification, handled it, and then forgot what you opened your phone to do? Or how about opening up a social media notification only to look up and realize a significant amount of time has passed? The American Psychological Association found that task switching can cut productivity by over 40%. That's a lot. And researcher Gloria Mark discovered that the average focus span on a screen task is now just 47 seconds before we switch. Here's the kicker: every time you switch, your brain doesn't just snap back into gear, it can take minutes to fully re engage in what you were doing. For me personally, there have been emails that will take a considerable amount of intentionality and language, and even though it should only take me 10 to 15 minutes to get them done, if I get interrupted 3 or 4 times through typing that out, that same email could take me closer to 2 to 3 times to complete. So you see, distraction isn't harmless. It's stealing your best work, your deepest clarity, and your momentum. And as we talked about earlier, could have serious implications too, like your relationships. A very common example in memes and pop culture is the husband and wife both in bed on their phones, quiet, oblivious to each other, scrolling away. Night after night, this can be a tremendous intimacy killer. Some couples I know have changed to a strict no phones in the bedroom policy to protect their time together. It's a pretty good idea, honestly. I've been there. It's so easy to get distracted. Our devices have so many distractions built in. I'll be locked in writing or working on a problem, and then my phone buzzes, I check it, answer a quick text, and 20 minutes later I'm like, what was I even doing? The zone is just gone. So, here's the big question. Why do we keep letting it happen? One reason is that it's baked into all of our phones by large corporations that only make money when we're on their platforms. They are motivated to give us every notification possible to keep us coming back over and over. But let's face it, we're not scot-free either. Think about it. It's also because distraction is sometimes comfortable. It's an escape. That little dopamine hit feels easier than sitting with the discomfort of deep, focused work, especially if the work you need to do is something you really don't want to do. My students know this most. It's the homework assignment that you really don't want to do, so you'll find every reason why you can't do it right now. But as an adult, distractions can have a severe cost. Here are some things that are at risk. You don't build mastery, you don't finish projects, and you don't create clarity in your life. Peterson warns that the things you ignore will often come back to destroy you. The things you focus on become your life. In a lot of his work, Dr. Peterson talks about the significance of what we attend to. Some people attend to the most important things, and their life reflects that order, discipline, and benefits of that structure, while those that don't attend to those things suffer from sometimes severe consequences of collapse of relationships, marriage, mental health, financial well-being, or worse. Yeah, the stakes can really be that high. That's the wrestle I want to put in front of you. What are you letting shape your life by default? Your intentional focus or the noise around you? In other words, are you in the driver's seat? Or do you feel tossed around from one thing to the next? So what do you do? Here are 2 practices I recommend starting this week. The first one is time blocking. Cal Newport says to produce at your peak level, you need to work for extended periods of time with full concentration on a single task, free from distraction. Start by blocking 2 hours in your calendar one time this week for deep, meaningful, uninterrupted work. Phone on Do Not Disturb, no email, no social media. Guard it like your most important meeting, and see what you can get done in that time. This is also Dr. Huberman's research that the brain likes 1.5 to 2 hour cycles of concentration, so it works. Number 2 is leverage your phone's abilities. Now, I know not everyone is an iPhone user, and since Androids are much more configurable, let me speak directly to my iPhone users right now. The iOS focus modes are actually quite impressive and allow you to customize quite a bit. You can invest around 10 to 15 minutes in one of those modes and getting it just how you like it. You can control what apps are allowed through, as well as what individuals can get through as well. I know many people are hesitant to use notification filters because they're concerned they might miss the critical call or text they're waiting on. Now you don't need to worry. You can just adjust it for that so you can be available for what matters, but productive at the same time. Here's a line I use for myself. Your calendar is your battlefield for focus. So if you don't schedule your priorities, distractions will schedule them for you. And remember, focus is a skill. You don't need perfection, you need discipline, practice, and momentum. You'll get there, we just need to get the reps in. So let's recap. Focus matters because it shapes your life, not just your productivity. Distraction isn't harmless, it costs you time, energy, meaning, and maybe more. But you can reclaim it, starting with 2 simple steps. Block out 2 hours this week and use your phone's abilities to support that focus. Here's my challenge. Try it this week. Block those 2 hours, guard them, and see what happens when you give yourself the gift of focus. Thanks for listening to the Optimizing Beyond podcast. Remember, growth happens when you take action. So subscribe, share this with a friend, and most importantly, put what you learned into practice. And if you have any comments on how this helped you, I'd love to hear from you. Until next time, remember, daily anything changes everything.